I'm always on the lookout for new mechs, new toys to acquire. And while I enjoy all mechs, I do tend to focus on heavies and assaults with a mix of mediums. A lot of the lights that I play are really focused, and I tend to play the same machines over and over again. So I'm going to jump into this vlog. I've been looking at the Hornet recently, and this checklist I kind of apply to mechs that I have not acquired to answer that question. Is this a mech that's going to fit my play style, or is this a mech that I'm going to be able to utilize in my collection? Now, naturally, of course, the best intel is, have I faced this type of mech before? Playing Battletech, have I gone against it? That gives you kind of that real-time flavor of what it's going to be like to fight or go against that mech. That's kind of that layer of Tactica. Second to that would be online battle reports or exploring various aspects real time of how the internet, other mech warriors, other mech commanders have used the mech. And then, of course, jumping in with a checklist, looking at your play style, looking at what you want to do. We're going to jump in on the third aspect. We're going to look at the stats of the Hornet, see what it does, and try to figure out a role for this as a lance or possibly individually as a light mech. So jumping in, light mech, weapons, that's where we go. LRM-5, medium laser, small laser. That's kind of interesting. I was expecting maybe some machine guns or somewhere in the mix, maybe to mount another medium laser. We have jump capability. Some would argue, and I would somewhat agree, that light mechs lacking armor, even the heavier, more heavily armored light mechs, you need jump. You need speed and jump. If I don't have jump, I need incredible speed to not only put me in a position to do what that light mech has to do, but get me the heck out of there when I attract the attention of some medium mech or kind of make a mistake tactically and need to redeploy. Never retreat, just redeploy. Barring that, if they don't have jump capability, then I want to see a light mech have something to break the rules, right? A PPC, some crazy weapons loadout, or, well, the Valkyrie has jump and the Valkyrie has good armor, but to see something kind of novel, like an LRM 10 pack or an LRM 20 pack, something on a light mech where it's like we're trying to do something a little bit out of the mold, breaking the mold here. So the Hornet, it looks very much like a light mech with a primary weapon, of course, being the medium laser. A lot of light mechs, the bug mechs, they've got that medium laser. That's the workhorse. And then the secondary systems will be something a little bit shorter ranged with a little bit less punch. Usually SRM 2-packs, machine guns. We've got an LRM-5, and we've got a small laser built around that medium laser. That's a mix of extreme long range and extreme close range on the LRM-5 and on the small laser. Speed. It's not very fast. I'm looking and saying, okay, it's not very fast. For a light mech, does have jump, but at that initial speed, it's not very fast. The weapons loadout is a bit mixed. It's okay, but nothing special or breaking the mold for a light mech. What role is this going to play? It does have heavy armor for a light mech. Now, this is a question I just put out there. I'm going to put this out there. First thing that comes to mind, heavy armor. You're thinking like awesome Atlas, maybe a medium mech. You're thinking like, I don't know, Griffin, Shadowhawk. I mean, you're thinking something with some significant armor. Light mech, heavy armor, yes, for a light mech, but it's still going to get chewed through really, really fast if it's taking incoming fire. And even against other lights, heavy armor on a light, it's still a light mech. You know, if you're in that 20-ton bracket, there's still only so much that it can do. So I've got an eclectic mix of weapons. I've got a slow-ish mech. I do have jump, and I have heavy armor. Well, we're going to look to leverage that heavy armor. How do we utilize it? Well, my first thought, of course, was as a skirmish-based mech. A skirmisher light mech, which I fill this role with the Thorn. If you check out the Battletech playlist here on the channel, Thorn, I elaborate more on that. Sometimes I'll take a Thorn, good speed, medium lasers, LRM 5-pack. The 5-pack as a harasser skirmisher Run up the edge, fire off some fives, run away. Run up the other edge, fire off some fives, run away. Run up the center, fire off some fives, run away. It's not to cause damage. It's just to kind of probe your lines, right? See what you're going to do. See if you peel off some other units. If I'm attacking you with my Thorn and you peel off some hovers or you peel off some other light mechs, great. I calculate the battle value. And if I can do 2 or 3 times battle value, keeping you busy, it's worth it if I'm not doing the damage. So at first glance, I'm like, well, it's got that 5-pack. We could harass, but it doesn't have the speed. And I don't need the armor if I'm a skirmisher. So we're going to kind of put that out. Then I look and say, well, okay, is this an aggressive light mech? Like maybe I want to have this part of a medium type strike lance that's going to get in close, be in the thick of things, maybe paired with a hunchback. Hunchback needs to get up there with that autocannon 20. Maybe I'm going to pair it with a Warhammer as the command mech in the lance, which wants to get up there, range with the PPCs on the way in, get up there and utilize the other weapons. Well, in that case, it does have the 5. It does have a medium laser. It does have a small laser. It's not bad as a kind of assault-oriented light mech, but, there's other mechs that could do it just as well or perhaps better. I mean, yes, the Jenner's kind of the answer to everything. So, okay, Hornet could be part of an aggressive type lance. Then we look at the scout role, and now this is what it was intended for. Often what you'll see is a primary role for a mech, and if that works, great. But I like to look at second or third type roles, depending on the mission, depending on the flexibility. From that perspective, the Hornet is billed as a scout-based mech. Well, I think we have a heavy scout-based mech, something that can get into the thick of it, take some fire, deal a little bit of damage or defend, but achieve a mission objective. And that might be a cash and grab something, get out. It could be discovering hidden units, City Fight, City Tech, just running around discovering hidden units. It could be acting as a spotter. Well, from that perspective, I'm like, I'm not even going to jump into the Charger because that's a lot more battle value and a different type of mech. But I'm like, heavy recon mech. It's called the Cicada. I mean, there's other ones out there that mount better paired weapons than just kind of the long, the medium, and the short. And most of the time, I'll use the long and the medium. I'm very rarely going to use that small laser unless things are point blank. So exploring the Hornet, I'm like, as a heavy-based scout, there's possibly better things. Fritz, you're picking on the Hornet. No, we're just assessing this. We're just looking and answering this question. What roles does it play? Do I need it? And if I do take it in that primary role, what are its secondary or sub-roles? I want to get the most battle value out of this machine. Heavy armor, building with that. Now, where I do see it working is in a very densely packed type environment. City Fight, City Tech, heavy forests, places where you're going to be able to maneuver and use the jump jets to jump to the other side. And if I can selectively engage other light targets or harass other targets, that armor could come in handy, although the armor is really just like I take 1 or 2 hits and then I'm out of there and then jump out. So I could see the Hornet as a light mech that goes in and scouts and maybe engages and tries to disrupt. It's not going to necessarily destroy. Disrupt targets like if there's an LRM carrier sitting in the backfield. Can I just try to disrupt it? Get it to move a little bit. Get it to redeploy. Get it to not fire for a turn or two. Can I disrupt some artillery? If there's tabletop artillery that's on the table, can I disrupt certain pieces there? I could see the Hornet doing that, but it would have to be on the correct hex map where it can move from point to point, cover to cover, and if it gets in trouble, jump over that. It just doesn't have the speed and the staying power for that light mech. Okay, your thoughts on this machine. And again, looking at the perspective of this light mech, this works for any mech. When you approach a new mech, have you faced it on the table? How does it work? What does the internet say? What's going on YouTube? Give you some ideas. And then ultimately sit down and look at your collection, look at your play style, look at what the mech tells you it does. And then in that primary role, come up with a secondary and a sub role. Might not always be optimal, but different ways to use each piece.